Hey everyone, welcome back to the Underswell. I'm Derek Sabori, and today I'm so excited to dive into this new video with you. Today we're talking about something that comes up a lot when we're talking about sustainability in the apparel industry. It is this idea of chasing after a true cost, or understanding what the true cost of our garments is. So, what is the true cost of the clothes that you buy? Have you ever stopped to think about it? Essentially, it all starts with this idea. A lot of times we're going to ask ourselves when we're talking about sustainability and where we are here in 2022, how did we get here? How did we get to this point where sustainability has become so critical? Well, let's think back to the founding of the Industrial Revolution and this idea that we built our whole system on. It was a linear business model. This idea of take, make, use, waste, dispose of it all, right? It's a linear business model that has a beginning where we extract from the earth and an end where we dump it back into the earth when we're done. And more we're using those products less and less, so we're just actually not getting as much utilization out of them as we can. But ultimately, this is a broken system. This linear business model, take, make, and waste, is a broken system. It's an inefficient system, and it hasn't always served us well. Of course, it got us to where we're at today, and there's been a lot of prosperity and a lot of growth, but a lot of people have suffered, and a lot of our environment has suffered for it as well, which actually means that we've all suffered for it. So, in my opinion, it's time for us to fix this and move forward in a new direction. That new direction is one that looks more like a circular economy, right? And if you haven't watched it, go watch my video that talks about the difference between circularity and recycling. But this idea of circularity is one that is very specific, especially when we're talking about the apparel industry. Taking the goods that we make, once we extract materials, finding all of the value in them, getting the most use out of those materials for the longest time, powering them with renewable inputs, powering them with renewable energy during the manufacturing process, and then at the end of life, collecting those goods, keeping the value of that material, putting that material back into the raw material state, and making new products again. That's a circular economy, and that's what we want to strive for. But that idea of the linear economy, to me, that's the old way. The new way going forward is a more circular economy, right? But the other problem is this old way had a focus on the bottom line. The bottom line is taking your sales, subtracting your costs, and coming up with profit. That's the bottom line down there at the bottom. And we've always had emphasis on making sure that that profit margin is high and that we have a profit for the investors or for the shareholders of the company. That's been the old mentality. And we might refer to this as shareholder primacy, and it's sort of an outdated model. Think of it this way though, when we're addressing cost, think of a standard cost sheet, right? You're going to have things that you're going to include. You're going to start with your materials. You're going to add labor. You might add some packaging costs, maybe some transportation, maybe any taxes and fees that need to be considered. You're going to add them all up, and you're going to get at the bottom your cost, what you would call your standard cost. And this is how we price our goods, right? If something costs us $10 to make, then we might turn around and charge the retailer $20, who then turns around and marks that up and charges $40 to you at the retail level. Everybody marks it up typically in this keystone state for most industries, but all of that is based on that original standard cost. But of all those things that I mentioned, what are a few things that are missing? Well, it's things that we've discussed, right? Environmental impacts, social impacts that you've heard me talking about over and over. Greenhouse gas emissions, air pollution, water pollution, deforestation, hazardous chemicals, soil degradation, soil loss, impacts on humans, health issues, etc. Those are all things that are not included in that standard cost or that are listed on our cost sheet. Why not? Who pays for these? Well, these are what we call externalities. And externalities are a cost or benefit that results from an activity or transaction that affects an otherwise uninvolved party. And that party was somebody who did not choose to incur that cost or benefit, right? So again, who pays for all of these externalities that are definitely associated with the production and manufacturing of our goods? We know that our goods pollute. We have air pollution associated with them. We know that we emit greenhouse gases. We know that there might be deforestation associated with our products. We know that there will definitely be soil degradation and land use, but we're not paying for those. So who does pay for these? Well, we all do in some way. This is the idea of the true cost. Trying to account for all of those and recognizing that is moving us more towards recognizing and appreciating the true cost of the products that we make. So, if not fully accounted for and internalized, this idea of internalizing our externalities if they're not at least accounted for and internalized, they should at least be recognized, considered, and reduced for all of our sakes. This will move us one step closer to achieving this idea of a true cost. And I don't propose that it's actually doable, right? None of us are going to be ready to pay the true and real cost of a t-shirt. Once we start adding in the additional costs, X amount or X cents, X dollars per unit for deforestation, for pollution, for water pollution, etc., all of a sudden the cost of that t-shirt is going to go up pretty high. But what do we do to avoid that? What do we do to get around that in the meanwhile? Well, I think we can all collectively move in a direction where the makers, the retailers, you as the consumer, you as the teacher, you as the CFO or the CEO can realize that we are doing a disservice to ourselves, you're doing a disservice to your business if we're not recognizing and appreciating the fact that we are getting a bargain. We're getting the steal of the century, if you will, but it's coming at the cost of us and future generations. This goes against that idea of the definition of sustainability that we've talked about. Development that meets the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs, right? So if we are not accounting for all of the environmental and social impacts of our products, then we're again doing a disservice and we're sort of cheating ourselves out. So to me, it's really important that we start striving towards this true cost mentality and looking into it. Look into natural capital accounting, look into true cost accounting, look into the environmental profit and loss work, the EP&L work that Kering has done, that Puma started. It's not a crazy conversation and it's not a crazy topic. It's something that's actually been around for a while, and a lot of brands and organizations are moving towards it. But when we start to move towards recycled inputs or move towards organic inputs or focus on a circular economy and start to take back our products and have extended producer responsibility, and if we make sure that our supply chains are certified so that there's no deforestation associated with them, all of those are starting to recognize that there are externalities out there that we haven't been recognizing and that we need to take steps to start to eliminate them and do something about them. So in that sense, acting in a more sustainable, a more responsible way, fixing our supply chains, focusing on those better materials, stronger certifications, having more traceability and transparency in our supply chains, those will help you. Those will help you move to that point where maybe we're not fully charging the true cost, but at least we're recognizing it and taking steps. But this is also why sustainability is not always the cheapest, easiest, fastest approach. It often comes with these extra layers, these extra steps. So sustainability will be more expensive in the short run for sure, but it starts to get us to this true cost, right? And we're not going to be able to truly tackle sustainability if we're leaving those externalities out there for all of us to deal with and nobody to take account for. So hopefully that helps. That to me is the true cost of us making clothes. It's the true cost of the clothes that you wear. So keep it in mind, environmental and social costs that aren't typically paid for. We need those externalities to somehow be internalized, either emotionally or for sure into the cost of the goods, or at least into the process of how things were made. So I hope that helped. I hope it broke things down for you, and I hope it's a term that you can use going forward. If you like this video, make sure you click the subscribe button. I want to keep you informed and share everything that I'm learning with you. I want to help you out on your journey in the apparel industry. And if you're on a journey and you're learning about sustainability or you are applying it in your company, make sure you click the link down below so that you can get that free PDF that I made for you, the 35 things that I think you need to know so that you can learn more and be an expert in the sustainability space. These are the concepts and the terms that I believe need to be fully foundational and that you need to have full understanding of before you get any further. All right? Hopefully that helped. I'll see you at the next video. Thanks.